The sleds turned out to be all right, though not greased lightning by any means. Rush had an inspiration, too, and went and got 2 large dishpans from the house, so each of them had a suitable vehicle for traveling down a snowy hill. The dishpans were particularly exciting because they not only descended rapidly, but spun round and round while doing so. At the bottom of the slope, you rose with difficulty, staggered, and discovered that you were the exact center of a world that revolved about you like a mammoth merry-go-round. Oliver was the only one who didn't care for this. His stomach resented the spinning of the dishpan, though for some reason it did not resent being slammed down belly-whopper on a sled over and over again. Even Willie Sloper came and joined them for a while, and the picture of him going down the slide in a dishpan, arms and legs waving like an old-fashioned windmill, was one that none of them would ever forget. "I know what let's do," Mona said, when they were all exhausted and hot and red-cheeked. "I read about it in a book. They made snow ice cream in this book. Why don't we make some?" "How do you do it?" "Well, first we have to bake a bottle of milk and some sugar from coffee. You do it, Rush. You're best at it." "Okay," said Rush, who was hungry, trotting obediently toward the house. "And some cups," called Mona, "and some spoons." Then she and Randy and Oliver went looking for the cleanest, purest patch of snow they could find, which was in the middle of the front lawn. Untouched, unmarked, it looked as though it had been created to be eaten. It tasted very good, too, though rather flat, later on when Rush had brought milk and sugar to mix with it. Oliver ate so much that his alert and responsive little stomach felt strange again, and he retired to the house. Mona and Randy gathered up cups and spoons and went back to the house, too. But Rush left them and took a walk up to the woods. It was dusk, but the snow lent a strange radiance to the world. Flakes still fell, melting cold on his cheek, whispering with a feathery sound. There was no sound but their whisper, and his boots crunching softly. Isaac bounded at his heels with a white beard and ear fringes. "Just think," Rush said. "Almost a year ago I found you, and in a snowstorm like this." He leaned down and patted Isaac, who looked up at him lovingly with one cold paw raised out of the snow. "Let's go back," Rush said. The woods were beautiful and mysterious, but suddenly he was cold. He longed for noise and warmth and light. Isaac understood. He turned with a little yelp of joy and galloped beside his master down the hill toward the bright windows of the kitchen. The next day, Sunday, was a great disappointment to them all. During the night, by some strange alchemy, the snow had turned to rain. The spruce trees looked dreary and uncomfortable, like monstrous wet crows. Only Oliver took any pleasure in the morning, slopping about and digging in the dissolving snow. The rest of them did their chores, their homework, and snapped at each other. After dinner, when they started a noisy game of dumb crambo in the living room, Father came out of the study and asked them to go up to the office. "I can't even hear my typewriter," he complained, "let alone my own thoughts." Silent and out of sorts, they retired to the office. By now it was pouring. What is worse than a rainy Sunday afternoon when you've eaten a heavy dinner? Randy sat down at the piano. She played the piece that Rush had taught her. It was a simple air by Bach, and the oftener she played it, the better she liked it. First she played it as if she were very happy, then as if she were very sad. It sounded wonderful when played sadly, so she did it several times. She also made it into a dance, into a thunderstorm, a picnic on the first day of spring, a funeral march, and a witch's lament. It sounded beautiful to her in all its transformations. She never got tired of it. But after half an hour, Mona looked up from her book and said, "If you play that tune one more time, Ran, I'm going to start screaming, and I don't think I'll be able to stop." "Oh, all right, if you feel like that." Randy folded her hands in her lap and sat very stiff on the piano bench. She hoped she looked deeply hurt, and stared coldly at the cut-out pictures on the wall above the piano. "Well, that's funny," she exclaimed a moment later, standing up and peering closer at the wall. "Hmm?" Mona's voice came vaguely from the distant regions of Castle Blair. "I said, well, that's very funny," repeated Randy, remembering to sound offended. "What is?" Rush looked up languidly. Why, goodness, come here, Rush, look. I don't see anything, said Rush, standing beside her. Just those same old pictures pasted up. I practically know them by heart. No, no, Randy was excited. See how the paper's sort of broken along here? It's just a crack between the boards, Rush said. No, I don't think so, Randy persisted. Look how it goes, up to here, and then across to there, and then down again. And look, there's a kind of bulge on that side, like a hinge. Like a hinge, repeated Rush, light dawning. Creepers, Ran. Do you suppose it could be a door? That's what I think, agreed Randy, as solemn as an archaeologist who has discovered the relics of a lost primitive race. Come on, kids, help move the piano out so we can see. But they didn't need to be asked. Already they were pushing and tugging, and the piano moved slowly outward, squealing on its casters.